Good evening, Happiness Aid Live. How are we? My name is Robbie Figg, platform host and all-round go-to guy for bringing people into the fold that make a lot more sense to me and having a chat to them. So give us some love if you can hear things right now. Just jumping on a touch early so we can make sure everything is working. So give us some thumbs up, give us a like, give us some love. I want to make sure that everything is A-OK before we bring Mark Iriks into the fold. There he is watching. We'll get you on very shortly, Mark. Make sure you tag us up, guys, if you can hear us, and if everything is A-OK on my end, and then we'll bring the big dog into the phase as well. Hey, Angela, how are you? Hey, Beck. Hey, Sonia. Good to see you. Hey, Emma, how are you? Hope you're well. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Monday evening. Hey, Jared, how are you, my man? Good to see you. Jared from Suit Vault. Make sure you guys check them out on Facebook. An incredible business, obviously affected by the events, of the lack of events, but they're an incredible organisation, so make sure you give them some support. Hey, Rach, how are you? Rihanna, Zach. All the celebrities are on here today, and we're about to bring another... he's a celebrity in my mind. He's a celebrity in my world, and his name is Mark Iriks. I'll introduce him when he comes on. I'm going to invite you in a second, Mark. Don't stress. He's from the generation that technology kind of like, they get it, but also sometimes they don't. So I feel that, I get that, and that is fair. Hey, Chris, how are you, mate? Another one of our ambassadors. Mark's ready to rock and roll, so I'm going to bring him on. Before we do that, though, please chuck up your gratitudes for today. Even if you've posted them into the Happiness Aid Live group, no excuse not to type them up right now. Share them with everyone. And obviously, it's one of those things that, as I always say, it's really easy to practice gratitude when things are going well. It's a little bit more difficult when things aren't as great. So if you're having a bit of a tough day today, we're here for you. We're here with you. Jack Joy, how are you? Maddie Scaler, thanks so much, Jack, for... we had a net session. Now the restrictions are lifted to 10 people outdoor exercise here in WA. We had an awesome cricket net session. And by awesome, I mean I got bowled about 45 times, snicked off to second slip 19 times. But you know what? We had fun, and that's the main thing. Mark, I'm going to go ahead and invite you in a moment, mate. So just hold there. I've got to go and find your name again. There you are. If we just wait for Mark to jump on. Make sure you get your gratitudes in there, guys. I want to see all of them flying up. Hey, Sean, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Brody's online. Zach's excited to see you. Hey, Kales, how you doing? Mark, how we going there, mate?
Good, buddy. It worked.
Hello, dude. We got past the technology.
Mate, that's the only thing I was nervous about, I think.
It's all good, mate. How's your day going?
Yeah, fantastic. Have been for 2 walks.
Two walks.
Yeah, 2 walks. And fully rested now and had a bit of a sleep this afternoon, which is not unusual for me.
Hey, just with the technology, mate, we're getting a little bit of an echo, I think. Is everyone hearing that echo? Do you have any headphones you could chuck on for us, mate? Plug into the lappy or the phone?
Do I have headphones? No, I don't.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Is everything on mute? Everything, your laptop and all your... Nothing's coming out the other side?
Shelley's got a laptop on upstairs.
No, that's all good. I'm not sure if everyone's getting that echo. Is everyone getting those echoes? Or just get... Before we go ahead, because I want to get your advice, Sage and Sound. So I want to make sure that our sound is perfect. Is everyone hearing that echo, or is that just me? This is the fun of live videos, Mark.
And I'm not hearing it at all.
All right. Scaler says we're getting a bit of an echo. What I might get you to do, Mark, if you could source any headphones or have a squeeze around the house, see if we can get something sorted. I'll have a chat to the other guys in a little while. Kerry, how are you, mate? Hey, Jenny L.
Shelley found some headphones.
All right, let's see if we can give them a little whirl. Can you hear me, Marcus?
I can, buddy.
How good's that? That's so much better. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, give us a thumbs up and a love if you can hear a little bit better now. That's much better, mate. And as I said
Excellent.
before, I don't want people to miss out on your advice because it's worth hearing twice, don't get me wrong, but the echo might not be as fun. So, Mark, obviously, we've known each other for a couple of years now. And as I said in my caption and in a post earlier, it's really important that you have great mentors around you in life. And we'll go through that with your mentors in a little while because everyone has to have their own. But I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions off the bat, just so people can get to know you, maybe not business Mark, but person Mark. Not that they're too dissimilar, to be honest. I think that's part of a successful businessman's life is being authentic. So who is Mark Iriks and what do you get up to on a day-to-day basis, my man?
I think I'm pretty well a creature of habit. And I think, in fact, I read something on Mark Boris this morning, quite coincidentally, and it was a post or a post that he did. He showed his exercise routine for the morning, and he talked about how his life was all about, doing the same thing almost every day to get the same sort of outcomes. And
Absolutely.
most people would think that's boring, but that's pretty well my life. Get up early in the morning, do a gym session, and pretty well I eat the same things almost every day. I know that sounds boring, but I'm only into food that's good for me. As you would know, I've got a heart condition, and I need to be more aware of what I eat than most people. So I walk a few times a day. I look at all my businesses every day and have a chat with the various partners in the business just to see how they're going and keep in touch with them. So that's the way I love to live my life, and I obviously spend a lot of time with Shelley. And
which is your beautiful wife.
Absolutely, and so I pretty well do the same sort of thing every day and try to keep myself as active and physically and mentally as I possibly can.
And I think you mentioned Mark Boris. I was lucky enough to sit on stage with Mark. What would that be? About a month or two ago, before all this went down at Certified Ballers with Kim Barrett, who I think is on the video as well. And his word was rhythm. Instead of routine, it was rhythm because it's you're playing some music in your day, and you want that music to sound great, right? You got to get some rhythm. Is that something you'd agree with?
I'm not very musical, or I don't have that much
Join
rhythm.
the club.
I was actually talking to Shelley about learning to play either guitar or an organ or something like that, and she just laughs at me. She's going,
an ISO
what you're doing,
yeah. Or a retirement instrument, I should say. Mate, we've had a couple of questions here because it's not just about me asking you questions. So Sean has asked what your businesses are. So I guess without going through all of them, because there's quite a few, is there a sort of general thread between all your businesses? What did you start with, and where did you kind of end up?
Sean, it's a big cross section of businesses. I'm not that good at anything in particular. What I am good at is finding people who are exceptional at what they do, people who are passionate at what they do, and people who have the energy and the ability, but maybe not the balls.
Sure.
Or maybe not the money. And if I identify those people, and I can help them, and we meet up and we suit each other, and I can help them set up a business. That's the sort of business I'll go into. So, to show you what I must say, they're generally in finance, health, basically finance and health. I wouldn't go into a business that wasn't in those areas. So recently, you would be aware that I acquired Java Juice from the liquidator.
Absolutely. Big juice company here in Perth, and quite similar to other juice bars, but a little bit more aimed at the health side of things, right?
Absolutely, and I wouldn't have gone into it if it wasn't health-based, and I wouldn't have gone into it if the previous owner didn't want to jump back in with me at no cost to him, but I had to ensure, firstly, that he was passionate and dedicated to rebuilding his brand, and once I saw how much he loved it, and it's all he wanted to do, it was a no-brainer for me. But I know nothing about juices, and I still know nothing. I've done a lot of study on how that sort of industry works, so I make sure I get the right ratios around income versus the expenses, and to make sure that
Sure.
we're on the right track. So, but my major businesses are in finance. That's where my forte and my major interests lie. So,
Yep.
and my major company, as you would know, is the Easy Group,
Yep.
and we're in salary packaging, and we're in the funding of vehicles for individuals and companies. We do operating lease and novated lease, and all types of finance for anyone. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I was trying to think of what the common threads would be, to be honest, mate, before we jumped on around, your businesses and what you get up to and all the different people I think the most important thing before we jump into the questions that I had planned for you is, the most important thing is to remember that you're in the business of helping other people grow their business, really. I think that's probably the best way to sum up what I know about you. And when we were talking about putting things, we were talking about technology before, putting your LinkedIn together. That was a fun experience because I got to, talk to you about not just what you were passionate about, but I think I built this quote after listening to you, but, passion starts the process, but process continues the passion. And
Absolutely.
I think that's exemplified by what you get up to with your different businesses. But now we know a little bit more about the fiscal, the financial, and the venture side of you. I'd really love to ask you some questions on happiness, success, how we become what we want to become, and not necessarily from a money point of view, because at the end of the day, as you well know, Happiness Co is about impact. Happiness Aid is about helping people and impacting people in a time of uncertainty, and everyone knows what times we're in at the moment. But my first question to you, and I always love to ask people this, whether I get to do it at conferences or with people of note, what does true success mean to Mark Iriks?
Okay, I actually went for a walk this morning, as I alluded to before, and I bumped into a couple of people who may actually be watching now, because I told them this would be happening this afternoon. And I
Awesome.
actually
Who was
worked
that?
with
Give him a
them,
shout out.
Christine and Graham Howe.
Lovely. Well, I
if
put
you're
you on the
there,
spot there,
guys.
mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, all good. I worked with them over 40 years ago up on Coolin Island. And
Yeah, wow.
it's not that I haven't seen them for 40 years, but I haven't seen them a lot in those 40 years, but we worked together pretty closely. But it's funny because I bumped into them and they said, "Oh, how you going?" And, we're observing, the isolation rules.
Of course.
And I just got talking to them about this topic, about success. And I said that I was going to be talking this afternoon to you in particular about what success is. And we had a nice, interesting debate about success. And it was quite timely because they're both intellectuals. And I knew that they would come up with something. And I think we discovered amongst us that what success for me isn't necessarily success for someone else. And
Sure.
Graham actually said, "Would you consider the Beatles successful?" And
Okay.
and it made me think, well, in terms of their music, one cannot doubt that. But in terms of them as individuals, how could I possibly know? I know nothing
Sure.
about how they feel about their lives, and we sort of carried it forward as you do when not that I'm an intellectual, but they are, and they were talking about going a bit further with it, and we were talking about how do you define really what something that everyone's so different about really is, and Graham posed the suggestion that maybe it's based on outcomes. But then
Yeah.
we
Yep.
decided to retract massively when we decided that the ultimate outcome of everyone is death. So on the basis of it being on
So
outcome,
true.
no one's successful. So it caused me to think during the day, I've got what do you need to be successful? And I deduced in my own mind that everyone has everything they need to be successful. Okay? Because all you need to be successful is have yourself. Right?
I love
Once
that.
you exist, you can be successful. Once you exist, you can do anything, actually. So
Yeah.
once you know what's important to you, you can become truly successful. And until you know what's important to you, you can't. So it made me thinking, you know, as I said, I'd known these guys 40 years ago, and I thought over those 40 years, the sorts of people that I've worked with, and I've had the pleasure of seeing become successful and unsuccessful. And I've worked with people who have had some extremely hard work ethic. I've worked with people who have had some extraordinary drive, and I've worked with some people who have become incredibly rich. I can say many of those people are the most unsuccessful people I've ever met.
Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
Many of those people were working for someone else. And
Yep.
I searched that a bit, and I actually got a quote, and I've got it written down. So
Yeah, I love that. You're into your research, and that makes you the
I am
the person you
massively,
are.
and I wrote this down because I saw it today and I loved it. It says, "Do not reach the absolute summit of your enormous efforts just to see your mountain in the far distance." And wow, it just
Pretty profound,
really
right?
got to me, and I'm like, by all means, help others. I'm an advocate of that.
Absolutely, you are.
All the
Yeah.
way through life, you should help others. But don't make the focus of your life building someone else's dream. Okay?
Yep.
And a lot of people do it. And I've got a lot of friends who have made other people very rich, and they've got to the end and they've got like, oh, I'm glad I did that for them. But what did I do for myself? What did I sacrifice to give them the perfect life for them? So you're already the most successful person in the world right now at being you. Okay? Nobody is ever going to be better than you at being you. You might not like you, but you can change that.
You can
You can
work on that,
change
right?
so many. You can work on that, right? So what makes you happy will not necessarily make others happy. Okay, so
So
you
subjective,
might
isn't it?
see, it is. You might see a successful person and you might see that they're happy. Copying them won't make you happy. All right? So comparing yourself to another person who's ultimately happy will never make you happy.
Absolutely.
So
Comparison is the thief of all joy, as Teddy Roosevelt said back in
absolutely.
the 20s.
So I mean, what I deduced from there was that what I believe is if you haven't already designed your own plan, if you're not living a life based on goals that you set for you, you're probably making someone else's dream come true. So being the best that you can be in the areas that you value is what success is to me.
I love that. So using your own measuring sticks, right? So there's going to be different elements that create different happiness for different people. And obviously Julian Pace, the CEO and our lead facilitator very well. You know me.
Yep.
I think you know how different we are and the way that we go about
Absolutely,
things
yeah.
at work. But, if you're collaborating well enough, and I'm sure you found this along the way, finding the right mentors and the right team, it's not about being successful on your own just for yourself. You're saying that it's about creating your own dream on your own measuring stick, and
For
then
sure.
the byproduct is that you'll have success in whatever it is you're doing, whether it's family
Absolutely,
or
yeah.
business or relationships. Yeah.
And it has to cover all of those. But like, what's deliriously happy for me, and deliriously successful for me, other people might look at that and say, I don't want that.
But then they
It
might
wouldn't
use that as
interest
their
me.
measuring stick, right? Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And if they do, that's probably a mistake. Unless there's one aspect of what I do that they like, and then they can copy that. They can ask me about how did you achieve that part, because that bit I admire. The other bits I don't. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to get up in the morning and work out that much whatever every day. It doesn't interest me. I'd rather go for a walk, and I'm happy with that. But I do want to earn the sort of money that you earn. What do I need to do that? So
Yeah, sure, and it
yeah,
allows you to do so much more when you have that comfort. And I think that there'll be a lot of people on the call now. If we can go back to another point that I was going to bring up a little bit later on, but we can do it now. Is how can we become? And this is going to be your opinion, your words, and there's so many ways to look at this. But for Mark Iriks, how can how can we become what we want to become? You mentioned planning and goals and strategies earlier, but what are your thoughts on how we become what we want to become?
There's only one massively important aspect to that, and that's knowing what you want to become.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest bit. Because
Yeah.
most people go through life reacting to things that happen to them. And they may become something amazing because of what they reacted to. But most people, as I was saying before, work for other people because they don't have a dream, so they jump in and help someone with their dream. And that might end up making them happy.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
firstly, yeah, you need to know what you want to become. Once you know what you want to become, once you know what juices you, once you know what you wake up for in the morning and go to bed at night thinking about, once you know what you smell and taste and feel like nothing else, then you know what you want. The rest of it is actually easy. All you need to do is find out how to get it and take massive action towards getting it. There's no other way.
Yeah, I love that summation of massive action. And you've mentioned that before in times when we've spoken about putting programs together for people. And in the future, when you do more and more with Happiness Co., taking action is a big part of it. So I wanted to ask a quick question on action and particularly around these times. I mean, it's going to be a real odd time for people to be making decisions, and they might put some hurdles of fear and uncertainty in the way. I'm sure yourself, along you mentioned you've known someone for 40 years, so that means you're older than 41. It must be important for you to make decisions under pressure and make decisions at times when it might seem frightening. There might be some fear involved. In order to become successful to your own measuring stick, there are going to be tough moments. So what's your tips for getting through the tough moments and the stresses of life?
Okay, I tell you what I want to focus on there because it's probably one of my favourite subjects, and that's the making of decisions. Right? Because we're all going to be faced. I mean, we are faced every day with making decisions, and like there's three aspects around making decisions, and they are getting the facts, getting advice, and making the decision. So the one thing, and again, this is my opinion. I don't give advice to anyone ever. I'm very opinionated though. What is a bad decision maker? People could, and I'm sure everyone in the audience could give a different version of what they think a bad decision maker is. To me,
Absolutely.
a bad decision maker is one who doesn't make a decision. It's not one who makes a bad decision, because let me tell you, in my own experience in life, making no decision is worse than making the wrong decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most
After
people
you've
go
weighed up
through life, yeah.
all the
Yep.
different variables, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm a very good decision maker. And if
As
you're
in
in
you
a
make
group
a
with
lot of
me,
decisions, right?
I do make a lot of decisions. And I've been asked many times over the years by people who know I make wrong decisions. At least I make decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I honestly believe that I get it right most of the time? I can guarantee I get it wrong most of the time, but I still make a decision. Okay? I'm very good at doing it. And I've sat in board meetings over many years and said, right, guys, on a subject that the people I'm with, because most of my business partners are smarter than I am, and I say, guys, we have a problem. What are we going to do with this? And no one wants to make a decision. And I say, well, let's get the facts together. Let's talk about it. Let's get some advice from other people. I'm getting it from you. Right now we've got it. We're not leaving here till we make a decision.
Yeah.
And the amount of times they've not been wanting to make decisions because they're the sort of people I've been in the boards with, I've said, right, guys, this is what we're doing. And they're like, no, that's the worst thing we could do. I go, great, now we're talking about it. Right.
So we've made
right.
a decision not to go with that decision.
We're not going with that bit. So what would you do if you had to make a decision? Oh, I don't really want it. Well, we're going with this then. No. And we never leave that meeting until we make a decision. And you know what?
Love that.
Some of the best things that have happened to me in my life are the result of making the wrong decision and ending up in a position where I couldn't have had a view from before. But let me give you a really crass example. It's a sad example.
Yeah.
It wasn't long ago, I had a defibrillator and pacemaker put in. Nothing to do with the stresses of business or anything like that. I had a heart attack at 34 because I was massively obese, and I did everything about that. Took massive action. Decided to become wealthy. When I become wealthy, decided then to focus on becoming rich and become rich. And then not so long ago, when I was trialing for the seniors games with sprinting, I was tested, and during the test, during a fitness test, I was told that I had arrhythmia, and they didn't want me leaving the hospital until I had a pacemaker and a defibrillator put in, literally. And that happened very shortly, or shortly after that. Now, during that period, I appointed someone else to manage the business. Co-manage with me, because I was in intensive care for a while on that. I thought I did enough due diligence, looked at the facts, got advice, and made the decision. And I wasn't massively supported by my other senior managers, but I think they were swayed by the fact that I was a major shareholder, and they went along with it.
And a decision was made, right, as you said before.
And it was possibly the worst decision I've made in my business life.
Sure.
Over that next year and a half or so, when I was massively depleted from energy and from, I was, getting over, and not just having this, but it went off in the gym, as a few of the viewers would know. My defibrillator went off, and I had another operation which went wrong. But during all of this bloke's taking over, and my major business it could have fallen over. I think it's too robust to have fallen over, but it was a shit decision that I made. It was really bad. I spent a lot of time crying over it, a lot of time trying to do something about it. But this guy didn't only steal money from us, and I say that, watch how I say that, he borrowed a substantial hundreds of thousands of dollars from us, and then the company he lent the money in, he put it into bankruptcy. So he never paid it back. He then turned off our systems, which he controlled, because he come in with a portion of the business to help us to get into another area, and walked away and went on holidays overseas and cut us off. So pretty devastating, right?
Significant, yeah.
Yeah. That decision was undoubtedly the worst business decision I've ever made in my life. We needed to, what we got him to come in and do, we still needed to do that. And we tried to do it on our own and we couldn't. So we needed him to come in. After he left, we were forced to continue to develop the product that he was developing for us, which you might say, well, if you were able to do that, why didn't you do it and not have him? Well, I don't think that we would ever have put ourselves under the pressure to try to do it without someone. But now we bloody had to. So
no choice, right?
I mean, you've often heard me say, I'm sure, that if the only way to take over an island is to burn the boat, right? The only way to take it is to burn the boat, jump on the island, and if you're not successful, you're going to die anyway. So you have to be successful. You don't want to be in a position where you can retreat. My business now is the most successful it ever has been because we were forced to fix that problem. Now, if I look back at the sequence of events there, I would not retrospectively go back to someone and say, oh no, hire someone, let them rip you off, and you're forced to do it. Right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But in making the wrong decision, it was massive for us. So that's what I'm saying. Make the decision and then live with the consequences and fix it from there, because not making a decision is going to kill you in
For
every
sure.
aspect of your
And
life. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks so much for being as vulnerable as you have, mate. And I think it's important that people remember that it probably took you a long time to get over the hurt and the pain and the sort of betrayal of that kind of situation. So to be able to share that with the Happiness Aid group, I'm sure everyone's really appreciative, and send some love Mark's way, by the way. And Jason said before, fail forward. I've
Yes.
heard Jules talk a lot about the burn the boats attitude around not giving yourself that out, not giving yourself a hurdle in front of yourself
Yep.
as you go through these moments. So I love that, and your best advice there was to obviously just to make the decision. And I think if there's people watching now, and we do have some questions already, but get some more into the mix for Mark. There's a really important moment in everyone's life where you learn to pivot, or you learn to adapt, or you learn to
Yep.
evolve and change. And the way you take that on can set you up for the rest of it. And obviously we're in a time
Absolutely.
like that at the moment. That's why Happiness Aid exists, because we had to go fully online. We weren't able to get in front of the people that we know and love from a workplace perspective, individual perspective. And that's the reason we're here right now. And how good is Happiness Aid, right? How good's the group? It wouldn't exist without the uncertainty and the trouble that we're going through right now. Hey to Peter. Hey, Callum. Callum says, thanks so much for the story. Barry said, that's the best lesson. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Barry also said, make a wrong decision, make another one. I love that. And Barry is one of those guys that has just taken Happiness Aid by storm. Barry Hamilton, shout out to you, mate. My next question for you, Mr. Iriks, is when you're going through life, you'll have a lot of different opportunities to pick up mentors, and some of those will be great mentors. Some might be people that peer pressure you into smoking. I don't know, but there are going to be great people along the way. Who was your, if you'd like to share, your biggest mentor, and more importantly, what did you learn from them?
It's quite funny because I have mentors for different parts of my life, right? I've never met a person I want to be more like than me, if that makes sense.
I love that.
But
Yeah, I love that.
But
Yeah.
I'd love to be more like certain people in what I admire about them.
In what they're
But
best in world, right?
In what they're best in world in, but I just don't want to be them. And one of my I'll give you two examples if you like, because I've got quite a few.
Absolutely.
One of my mentors is John Hughes, and my father was an incredible loving man, and my father died almost 30 years ago now, but he was an incredible father, an incredible role model, and an incredible husband to my mum. And I just, I suppose he was my role model when it comes to love. But because I loved my dad so much and I respected him so much, I remember going to him for advice one day. And it was my fault because I put myself 2 years behind my progress because I asked him for advice on, that he was a builder and a carpenter, and I asked his advice on business and making money. And he convinced me that, I'm glad, son, that you brought this to my attention now, because we're lovers. We're not money people. My father wasn't. His father wasn't. I mean, you would have wasted so much time in your life. Just be the loving person you are. And I trusted him and believed him in that until I met John Hughes, really. And I mean, well before that, I knew that Dad wasn't the best person to go to for advice on money. Just on the things that he was good at. So John Hughes, when I went and worked for him, I copied what he did.
And just quickly, mate, for those that don't know, I might be watching over East. John is an incredible success story in the space of selling cars, right? He's got an incredible amount of space that he sells from in a suburb called Victoria Park, which is where Happiness Co is located and where our hub is located, and also where obviously we're in your building that you have some other amazing businesses within as well, including the Easy Group and Bolt Fitness and Sonda Coffee, who I'm representing tonight. So just to give some people some, obviously some clarity on that, he's obviously a very successful man and has been consistent in the way that he goes about things for so long. And even if you live in Perth, you'll know it's, over the causeway in Shepparton Park, right? He's a
Exactly.
marketing genius.
And just so people know, if they don't know him, John still works 5 days a week. He's
And how old is
87
John?
years of age. 87. All right. So the same distance between the age of Scotty, my son, and I, who's now the CEO of my biggest company, the same age difference between Scott is the same age difference between John and I. And so I went through my business life in partnership with John before I bought him out eventually of the business I was in with him, and learned everything I know about business from John. I mean, I'm a clone of John Hughes when it comes to the business side, not the personal side necessarily, but certainly the business side.
And what is it that Barry actually said? Integrity personified in reference to John or me. I'm not sure. Probably John Hughes. So he said integrity personified, and he said he's an amazing man. So what is it about John's business ethic, his work ethic that you so admire?
The results. I'm a results person, and I often say to people, I often say I don't care what the process looks like. I just want results, and I can easily say that because I'm not the operations manager, right? I'm just the owner who wants the results, and I know they have to stay compliant, and I know they have to, and I expect them to do it morally and ethically right. I would not accept it being done any other way. But when someone comes up to me and says, I have a recommended operational change or whatever, I want to see how that's going to affect the bottom line and the results or the outcome that we're going to get, more so than I want to see any other aspect of it. So John was a results-driven expert who I just admire, just from that,
I love that.
from that basis. Yeah.
I really enjoy the way that you talk about, and we've had this discussion in multiple opportunities to talk, business and life and everything that we're getting up to together as a Happiness Co family. And results are obviously the most important thing in a business, because it allows us to help more people in our case, and it allows you to employ people and give their family a living, and obviously do your own thing as well. And it's not just, I know some people, only because the way the world is, it's a cynical time sometimes, but there'll be people maybe thinking, well, what about the process? What about enjoying it? And I would say, obviously, maybe in your opinion, not to put words in your mouth, but if you're getting the results, it means that you must be enjoying the process. Is that kind of the way you would look at it?
I think more so I don't care what the process is. I'll let the process people look after the process. Now, I obviously care about the process of my personal life. That's completely different.
Sure.
But in talking about business, if I had, and this might sound awful, but it's how I think. I'm a completely different person as a businessman as I am as a father or a stepfather or a friend, right? Now, if I had someone who was working for me that was responsible for the sale of 40 cars a month and I didn't like them, and one that was responsible for the sale of 20 cars a month and I loved them and I had to get rid of one of them, I'd get rid of the one that I didn't like.
For sure.
I'm into results. Now, I would still want the other person in my life, and I might even go into something else with them, but I'm into results because it's the results that make everything work. Yeah.
And it's never about like a ruthlessness or a callousness. I think I've heard some amazing people in business, particularly in sort of contemporary business, which I think is exactly the way that you operate, is surround yourself with those great people, and more than likely you're not going to have those issues anyway, because the way that you look at it is the person coming into the fold is the result of you doing your due diligence, getting along with them initially, seeing what they've done in the past. So if you actually do that correctly, that part of the process, obviously brings the first result, which is a great person. And I think that's important as you go through life, no matter what you're doing,
For
relationships,
sure.
business. You've got to follow the right process for you, and that could be different. There's a lot of people on the call right now, mate. I think for the length of time that this has been going, we've got a record crowd. So I'm going to say it to you and not me. But we've had some incredible engagement already. So, guys, we're going to be on for another 5 minutes. So please get your questions in now for Mark. If you're just jumping on, or if you want a reminder of what we're talking about, it's happiness, success, and what we can do to become the people that we want to become. And you mentioned there about results. We spoke earlier about the way that you make decisions. Making decisions is a better decision than no decision, no matter how you fail forward. And your biggest mentor in John Hughes from a business sense, and you're talking about your old man being a fantastic role model for life. So let's go back to life away from business. What's your top sort of value in life? I think I know the answer, but I'd love you to answer that yourself.
I mean, everyone sees how gooey I am with Shelley, and then everyone knows me.
It's gross,
going,
Mark.
Yeah. But no, I mean,
that's beautiful.
And it is, and to me, that's my most important value. All right, the relationship I have with Shelley and with the kids. There's no doubt about it. And
love in general.
I mean, I exude love for everyone, and I think that's if you give love and you just feel love about everything, you can't help be liked by other people. I mean, I try not to be a prick to anyone ever, even if I don't like them. Some people I don't like, but I'm like, I just want, it's not that I want people to like me, I actually don't care. Because I'm going to keep being the person I am. And I don't do it so people will like me. I do it because I love, if you get what I mean. I do it,
that's authenticity, right?
That's right. If someone finds me over the top, happy, and I get it all the time from people, they go, you can't be really that happy. I go, well, I am. And
some people just are cynical like that, right?
That's right, but I am, and I've had some shit things happen to me, just like everyone else in the world has, and I still manage to find a way to turn it into a positive.
Yep.
And I'll keep doing that.
I love that, bringing it from a negative to a positive. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from yourself and other mentors around the business world, especially. And I think if you can, let's be honest, if your business is successful or your businesses are successful, they're going to become a major part of your life. So you may as well make that thread of being liked for who you are, and you've just got to be happy and content with the fact that not everyone's going to like you, or they're not going to tell you that. They might actually have a mad respect for you and still call you a prick behind your back. I mean, that's just part of life, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Water up a duck's back. Look, we've got some questions from the viewers. So the first one, I think, was from Julie earlier on. How would one find a passion to turn into a business? Was her question. How would you find a passion to turn into a business? It is a great question, isn't it?
Yeah. And sometimes it can't work. Sometimes, and I mentor a lot of people in business, and a lot of people do come to me and they go, this is what I love. And I'll look at it, and I'll look at it as a business model, and I'll say, look, you'll start bloody hating it if it's your business.
Yeah, a bit of resentment, right? Yeah.
If that's what gets your juices going, and you absolutely love that, and that's what makes you happy, and you have to go and get a job with someone else to earn the money to give you time and the resources to do that, that might be the best way of doing it, because some passions just aren't jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Some passions are just, now if your passion is something that you can make money out of, well, then you just have to do what I said before, I mean, once you know what it is, you do the research into it, find out other people who have done it, copy them, get some advice, and just go for it hell for leather.
And emulate success. I love that as some advice, mate. And her question was around finding a passion. So I think that's quite an interesting subjective one. Yep. No, I mean the subsequent question is always going to be, how do you then turn that into a business? But finding the passion initially. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Do you mean finding something you're passionate about, or
Yeah, I think
finding
that's what
the passion
I
as in the noun? Noun.
well, I think she was alluding to, finding something you're passionate about. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're not passionate about something, you're not passionate about it, right? I don't
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
I mean, you should just keep going through life, turning as many corners as you can, making as many mistakes. I mean, I practice making mistakes because I like to take a wrong turn. Because if you keep going along the same proven path every single time, you know where you're going to come out. And you might go, yeah, but I like where I'm going to come out. I like certainty. Well, I don't like certainty. I
yep.
love uncertainty. I love it, right?
Variety,
It's one
right?
of my favorite things in life. So sometimes I like to go down a track I've never trodden, and it might be a dangerous track. And all of a sudden, in your flight from that track, you see something you would never have seen, and that might be the new Holy Grail. That might be your new passion. So you find your different things.
I love that, mate. And there's a real importance there, Julie, who asked that question. That finding your passion. If we're going off the advice that Mark gave us a little earlier, is make some decisions and try heaps of different things. And as Mark said, take different corners, take corners you've never taken before, and just see how you handle it. Right.
Yep.
Beautiful. Zach White, our good mate, says, step outside your comfort zone. Best way to find out something you love. I love that. And he's a testament to that, going out and exploring the world and finding things to focus his energy on. Barry actually asked a really fantastic question, which is, Mark, are you more task focused or people focused? We spoke about being results focused before, but if you were going to weigh up task versus people, how would you answer that one?
Unquestionably, and I could almost say 100% people.
Yep.
Absolutely. My son, Scotty, phoned me the other day because I've retired, of course, from the major business. And he said,
You say
what
retired,
did
I
you...
say you just don't go to the office, but you
Yeah,
still do as much
that's
work.
right. Yeah, yeah. So he said, what did you spend most of your time doing? And I said, it's very hard to quantify, but most of it was people. And whether
Yep.
that be your own staff, concerned about what other staff are doing or not doing, or what they might think of them, or what you might think of them, or
Yep.
talking about their own personal situations at home, or talking about their, what they want to achieve in their life and whether they're actually achieving it with you or they should do something without you. All those sorts of things becomes a massive part of your life if you want to run a successful business with lots of employees. So I don't recall the last time I did a task in any of my companies. It's
Sure.
all people. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I love that, mate. And a good mate of Happiness Co, Pat McEwen, says everyone has a soul mission, right? We've got different names for it, but a purpose, a passion. His is working with children, seeing them, they light up, they see me, and there's almost an instant affinity or trust and love. That's a great one, Pat. I didn't know you worked in that space, which suits you down to the ground, my man. Barry says, winning hearts and minds. I assume he's talking about you again. And I think Julie commented again before around keep trying different things. I like it, absolutely. Jack and Ryan are talking about my cricket skills, so we'll leave that out of the equation. Hello to Stella, hello to Sharon. Hey, Pat. Hey, Rhino, how are you, mate? Naomi, thanks for joining us. Kerry says, a big thanks for being my mentor. So he's obviously referring to himself, one of your business partners in the
Thanks,
building
Kerry.
of Bolt Fitness. And I see the genuine affection and love that you have for the people that you interact with and you know that you can help. And it's not this is me going on a slight rant, but it's not a trying too hard to help or throwing your advice down people's throats. It's a really genuine, authentic want to help people. And I think that's shone through in the video today, mate. So first of all, just want to say thanks so much for jumping on and giving us your time. You give us so much of your time in real life and even in isolation, Zooming and Microsoft Teaming and, getting involved in all the stuff that we're doing with Happiness Aid. But I just want to say a massive thank you for from a personal point of view for helping us through some really tough times as a Happiness Co family. Melanie says, thanks so much. Very inspirational. Julian says, Mark, you a great man. Colin Hayes says, love your work, Mark. And Shannon and even Shelley says spot on, but she has to say that, right?
She doesn't have to. She's my biggest critic.
I bet she is. But isn't that part of love
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
whole way through, right? Mate, before you go, I just want to and I'll give you some notice so you can have a think about it, but you brought a quote to the equation before, but I think there might be some other ones out there. What would be your favorite quote? The Happiness Aid Live group is about gratitudes and putting up your favorite inspirational quotes here and there. Do you have one in particular that you can think of?
Only since I've met you guys, and it was a game changer for me, right? Because I am an inherently very, very happy person, right? Mm-hmm. I really am happy. And when you guys first come into the building, I'm like, it's great to have you in there. It's another
Who's this
tenant.
Yahoo with the big hair? Is that what you thought?
Yeah, well, no, it was like I heard introduced through Kerry, of course,
Yep.
and I heard Julian's story. First time I heard, I cried, all right, because I love everything.
You're
right?
a sensitive new age guy, mate.
I am old age guy, but
Whatever.
yeah. So I thought, well, I can't get any happier, so I'm glad to have him as a tenant. I really am. And Kerry talked more and more about you guys, and I thought, oh well, maybe we can do some business with him as well, And I thought when I heard the story and it was fantastic, and I thought, well, that's not for me because I'm really happy. I don't need anyone else.
We get
to
that
make
more
me
often than
happier.
you think, mate, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then I remember speaking to you, Robbie, and I said to you, I'd love to get involved, but I've never been depressed. I wouldn't know what it's like. I've had shit things happen, but I've never been really even that upset about things. I mean, because even with the worst things that have happened to me, I've found a way to look at it positively. And you go, I'm much the same. I'm not here because I'm anything. I'm here because I love the work that Julian does and the work that we're going to do. And I think we can make a difference to people's lives. And that you had a massive effect on me with that. And I loved what Julian was doing anyway, but I thought, wow, so there are people out there who just want to help. And so I decided to sit back again and watch to see not what you said you did, but what you actually did. And I was just moved to the extent that it did change my world a bit. And I suppose you've asked me, the question you asked was about the best piece of advice. And whilst I have spent my life in gratitude, the power of finding gratitude in everything you do is something that when I saw the effect it was having on other people's lives, I think it authenticated my life. I thought everyone did that anyway. I'm like, shit, people don't know this. I mean, because that's like, so I would never have given someone that advice because I thought people did that. But I thought you guys have shown to me why, probably authenticated to me why I'm always so happy. Yeah, and I talked before about shit that happens, and after I had my second heart attack, effectively at 50, in April, at 58 years of age, a few years ago, you would know I had my phrenic nerve severed, and I couldn't breathe for a while, and the doctors told me I might not make it and all that sort of thing. I found myself being so grateful that finally someone's done something to me to stop me bloody training so hard in the gym so I won't kill myself.
You looked at it as a positive.
I found a way to turn having phrenic palsy into a positive. And I say to people all the time, it's probably the best thing that happened to me because I was working out too hard. And my doctor said, you can't do what you do. So finding out through you guys that finding gratitude in everything isn't something that is natural to people was something that I wanted to share with the world. And I love being involved with you guys just to share that with people.
Mate, I love that, and you know, any time you can have an effect on someone who you look up to is always powerful. So I appreciate that, and I think one of the biggest things that I can obviously pass on to people that are watching this is that, as Mark said, he said that, you know, he's never been say depressed or had that sort of mental health challenge, but he's definitely been unhappy. He's definitely had challenges, as we all have. And different challenges mean different things to different people. Happiness means different things to different people. And that means, conversely, that unhappiness means a lot to different people. So the biggest tool, the biggest piece of advice is gratitude. You've heard it from Mark. You'll hear it from Happiness Co and Happiness Aid. So please make sure that you jump into the group every single day and share your gratitudes, because I'm sure you can attest, Mark, that, you know, accountability is one of the best tools you can have, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Love that, mate. Look, I'm sure I'll bump into you outside of the live stream in the next few days as we meander around the office and we're allowed to step out into the wide world here in WA with a bit of a restriction lift. But everyone stay safe, and especially if you're someone that knows anyone who might be at risk, keep being safe, keep making sure that you're doing the right thing. But stay connected, use this group. As Mark said before, gratitude is the best attitude. Rachel's just put that on the screen as well. And we need to make sure that as we go through life, we look to different mentors in different aspects. That's one of my biggest takeaways from tonight's live stream. And we'll be doing more and more Q&As with people like Mark. We'll grab Mark again in the next few weeks. I think the Q&A format allows us to give people some time to answer. So we'll definitely be upping that. And I know there's some people on this live stream that we'd love to get into some Q&As. Shannon says, thanks so much. Kim Barrett, how are you, mate? Julie says, gratitude, attitude all day long. Callum Maxwell says, thanks for sharing. Chris says, this has been very good. Thanks, Mark. Chris forgot I was on here too. I'm only joking, Chris. I love you. And as I said before, Mark, it's awesome to have you as part of the family. And there's a lot of gratitude towards you guys as a crew, be that yourself, Shelley, Brody, Kaylee at the cafe, all the people that you work with. I think it's always nice to have a massively positive group to surround you, and you've done that and you've brought that into everyone else's life. So thank you. And to everyone who's joined us and stayed on with us, we've had some record numbers on this live stream, as I said before, Mark. I'm going to put it down to a joint combination.
Not just combination, mate.
Hey, just sharing. This is me being vulnerable. I've just moved into this lovely new apartment in South Perth. Really grateful. But about a minute before we jumped on, I spilled all the new air freshener in the sort of reed diffuser, and it's all over the table. I'm really, I think I'm high from sandalwood. So I better go and clean that up. Everyone that's joined us, thank you so much. Mark, you're an absolute legend, mate. Any final words?
No, just thank you to everybody. Thanks to you and Julian and the whole team. I mean, it really is a group effort. You guys have got an amazing support group behind you, and it's a pleasure to be a part of that. Thanks very much.
And everyone, thank you very much, mate. And everyone that joined us on the video, you're part of that family. Please reach out if you need anything from us. I'm only just a private message away. And if you've just jumped on, make sure you go and watch this in replay, share it, and more importantly, share the live group, the Happiness Aid live group. We want to tick over 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people over the next couple of weeks. Even though some restrictions are lifting, the mental health challenges and unhappiness continue on. So please make sure that we can help more and more people. Thanks so much, Mark.
See you, buddy.
I'm going to go and clean up this sandalwood mess. Cheers, guys.
You do that.
See you, mate.